But I can tell you guys, I did go to a march. I went to the one in Hollywood in Broward County, and it was no surprise what I encountered. It was no surprise. It was generally older, white, privileged looking people, generally protesting, just anti-Trump, anti-Musk, hands off our Social Security, that. I saw one other person that had a Palestine flag. And I walked through this crowd, like I walked through the whole circle wearing this keffiyeh. And I could tell, like, there were a lot of people there that are clearly not, they're there for their reasons because they hate Trump, but they're not down with this. So I got this stink eye from a lot of people, but nobody that had the balls enough to say anything. So I don't really care, but it was really interesting. I did see that other rallies around the country, I don't know if you guys, any of you have one that you were at, where there was a much larger just anti-war presence in general. I did not see anybody at my rally that was really there in an anti-war capacity. I saw the pro-choice people. I saw the LGBTQ people. I saw the Social Security people. I saw all those people, the anti-Musk, the woman with the sign about like what Cory said, like Cory Booker's quote unquote filibuster was, so profound. So you can imagine the crowd at the one that I went to. I then did see photos, videos of the one in Miami, and it doesn't look like it was all too different. There might have been a few more anti-war people down at the one in Miami than what we had in Broward, which does not surprise me, which, as if Peter were here, he'd say, that's why Debbie Wasserman Schultz gets to sit in that seat, because those are the people that live in this district. They're concerned about their retirement, their Social Security, and I'm not saying those aren't worthy things to be concerned with, because they are. Those are very worthy concerns. And people that say things, you guys know the douche that was recently talking about that if his mother-in-law doesn't get her Social Security check, she doesn't even notice. That guy, he, does not speak for the majority of people. There are many people, probably most people, that are dependent on that. So no, I don't take it lightly that people could lose their Social Security. But it's just so apparent from the particular crowd that I saw down here that these are people that were perfectly fine with the way things were, with what was happening in other places, with what's going on in the world, with what's going on in Gaza. They're totally okay with that. But Trump and Musk potentially cutting Social Security is a bridge too far for them. And like I said, I think that is important. I don't not think that's important. But do I think it's as important right now as dead babies being pulled out of rubble? No, I just don't. And I'm so, like, at this point, I haven't really, I don't think I can get much more dark. I probably cried 3 times today. Today's big cry fest was breakthrough news. I generally alternate between cry fest and watching young people react to music that I really like. It alternates, so it's not all bad. But the past few days, the past few weeks, what's going on in Gaza is final solution type of shit going on. That's what's happening. This is the final solution for them. The 15 health care workers, I believe Red Crescent Society workers, were found in shallow graves, some with their hands and their feet tied. So now we're just lining up mass executions of health workers. And we are now in a place that is so abnormal. This is so abnormal that nobody's even justifying it anymore. It's almost like I don't even hear a whole bunch of excuses, like a whole song and a dance as to, oh, well, they were Hamas, or we thought that they were hiding in this underground situation. There's not even any sort of pretext anymore. They're just on full-on final solution mode. And that's what we're watching. And it's horrifying. And of course, that's directly correlated to what we're watching going on in this country in terms of the authoritarian crackdowns on speech and what's going on with immigrants, and just how you are seeing them slowly but surely weeding out the least of these, right? Like preying on the low. First, you go with the low hanging fruit, right? And then you work your way up. So we'll start with the people that are here on student visas. We'll handle, maybe throw out some green card people. But anybody who doesn't think that they're going to come for everybody has not been paying attention at all. I would suggest you go back in history and do a little research, because the Jews that were in Germany were citizens and they felt perfectly safe. They thought nothing's going to happen to us. We're Germans. You can't always go by just because you're a citizen somewhere and think that you're safe, right? Like none of us are going to be safe that are standing up against the oppressor. That's just not going to happen for us. So we need to be vigilant and we need to be prepared. And that's all there is to it. And I am a lot more forgiving of people that can't be public based on it's their livelihood and they have families that depend on them. And if they do that and lose their jobs, and then, that doesn't really help either. So I have a lot more sympathy for that than I think Peter does in that regard. I have a lot more grace for people that are just, trying to stay alive. And I feel like, as someone who has a position and a privilege to be able to put myself out there, there's no way I wouldn't do that. Right. Like I really, it's not that I have nothing to lose, but I am in a position where I am certainly less vulnerable than a lot of the people that they're going after. And so I feel like it's incumbent upon me to do what I can do, just like I feel like it's incumbent upon me to bear witness to something that I can't seem to really do anything else about. There are moments during the day, like when I'm watching, and guys, people who don't know, I generally spend 3 to 4 hours at least every day doing research and just, looking into stuff so I can understand issues. And there are moments when I'm watching stuff like people being burned alive, headless babies, where I almost feel like I want to jump out of my skin. Like the level of rage is so palpable that sometimes I'll start shaking, like just rage. Like I can't even. And I'm so resentful for I feel like, and as someone who has a lot of self-awareness, I'm not very keen to say that people make me feel a certain way. Like you made me sad I'm not, but I'm so resentful that I'm in a position where I'm watching shit that none of us should ever have to see. And quite honestly, we're seeing stuff that our brains are really not capable of comprehending because it's not normal. It's so abnormal that it's an alternate reality that we're living in. So, and I think the hardest part where I really feel like, even if it's just gaslighting by omission, by people not addressing it, by people not saying anything about it, like the worst part about it is that we have got to stay vigilant to not allow this to ever be considered normal